areas like Lake Michigan's coastline, that's only adding to the intensity of the coastal erosion for this area. And it's also encouraging people, hey, maybe you want to head towards the water. You can see here just how dangerously close some of these homes are to the shoreline. Coastal erosion is nothing new, but over time it's been adding up. More than a foot of this terrain is lost each year along parts of Lake Michigan. Joining me now to break down what this all means is Jeff Johnston with the Michigan's Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. Jeff, thank you for being with us. Can you kind of talk to us about what erosion is first off, so everybody kind of has an idea of what that is and what causes it along Lake Michigan's shorelines?
Sure. I think the important thing to remember with erosion is that eventually Mother Nature always wins, right? We know that the forces that shape our natural world are powerful, and we can hold them off for a time, but not forever. Erosion is a natural occurrence along our shorelines, and it's caused by wave action, water levels. It can be caused by wind. It can be caused by runoff of stormwater. There are a number of things that affect it, but it's always happening. We're in a current, we're in an era right now of fairly low water levels in the Great Lakes. A few years ago, around 2020, there were very high levels and there were serious erosion problems on large stretches. But even when water is low, there are other forces still at work.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this, Jeff, I mean, this is considerable. They're like hanging on a cliff. So when you look at this, are there some portions of Lake Michigan that are maybe a little bit more exposed, a little more vulnerable to this erosion than others?
Yeah, we have a lot of different types of shorelines around the Great Lakes, everything from coastal wetlands, which, are low-lying areas, to bluffs and dunes that can be made of clay or sand. And all of these handle erosive forces differently. So some of these high bluffs, if it's sandy or if there's a lot of groundwater leaching through levels of clay, it can cause the kind of erosion you're seeing in those images.
So, Jeff, what do you do in this scenario? Because I grew up in Florida, right? We know about coastal erosion because of big tropical systems. They'll get the dump trucks, the front loaders every few years, and they'll just go on the beach and re-sand it. I mean, this looks completely different. You had said these massive bluffs are slowly eroding away. People want to live there. They want to go vacation there. Is there anything we can do to kind of harden that area or bring back those the coast again?
Well, one thing that's interesting is you mentioned moving sand around on the beaches, and the erosion of those bluffs actually is one of the things that feeds those beaches. So there's a lot of beach replenishment and dredging and various, man-made helps to mitigate erosion. But there are some things you can do that are that can be effective for certain types of erosion. Like, for example, diverting stormwater away from the coastline like this, away from a bluff, so that water's not running down the bluff in huge volumes. So locating infrastructure and buildings away from the shoreline to begin with, so there's a safe buffer between the edge of the bluff and where homes are. Now, that doesn't help people who have already built there, but we have programs through Eagle and various other partners, like a coastal zone management program that in cooperation with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration provides technical assistance and grant funding to coastal communities. So there's some options like that. But sometimes the only way to really save these structures is to move them away from the shoreline. There are places where, because of erosion and the risk of future erosion, there are requirements to build any structures in certain zones in such a way that it's easier to move them when the time comes. When
you could think of the allure of why you want to live next to, of course, the water, especially if you have a bluff and you're barricaded from it. But what happens when the cliff itself is slowly giving away? Mm-hmm. Fascinating to look at. Jeff Johnston with the Michigan's Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. Thank you for being with us tonight here on Fox Weather.
All right. Thank you.